Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm your host, Margot Marshall. It can be challenging to get children to eat healthy foods. So if 3 out of 3 children enthusiastically tuck into healthy family meals, you know you're on a winner. Stay tuned to join Dr. Eddie Ramirez and his wife and children show us how they prepare some family favourites.
Welcome to the cooking classes of the Ramirez family. Well, we were sharing with you some family recipes of real Mexican food. I'm Dr. Eddie Ramirez, and I have with me my wife, Susan.
Hello.
And my first daughter, Talita.
Hello.
And this recipe that we're going to be sharing with you is actually a real Mexican recipe. We're going to be using a new ingredient that some of you may be familiar, some of you may not be familiar with that ingredient. And we can actually see one uncooked on the screen. This ingredient is called the tomatillo. And this came originally from the Americas. In fact, did you know that tomate, the tomato that you use, also came from the Americas? You actually say an old Indian name every time you say tomato. The original name is tomato, and the Spanish brought it to Europe, and it went to all the world. So tomatillos are another subspecies of the tomato. In fact, they even found a fossil of this tomatillo long time ago. So you can either buy it fresh and do this recipe. You can also buy it canned and do the recipe, or you can also buy the sauce ready to use. So Susan, what are we going to be using for this recipe?
Okay, so today we have our tomatillos. You have about 6 medium tomatillos. Some of these are small, so we have a little bit more. We have jalapeno chili. You can also use serrano if you want a little milder flavor. And we have garlic. Now this tomatillo and the jalapeno, that has been drizzled with a little olive oil and sprinkled with salt. This garlic has just been peeled, cleaned, and wrapped in an aluminum foil. And what we would do is we're just going to have Eddie put that in the oven at about what temperature, Talitha?
218 degrees Celsius.
208 degrees Celsius, that's right. And we'll leave that in the oven for about a half an hour, and we're going to stir it halfway through. So if you can go ahead and put that in the oven for me. And meanwhile, what we are going to do is we are going to, for the inside of our enchiladas, we are going to put potatoes. Now, what do they usually put in the inside of enchiladas? Do they usually put potatoes? Eddie?
So this is one of those recipes that has many varieties. Usually you can do potatoes. Many people do animal products. We discourage that, so we choose for a better, healthier option. You can also put vegetables. You can put broccoli. You can put cauliflower. This is a matter of creativity. What do you want to put inside your enchiladas?
You could also use tofu, couldn't you?
And tofu also, you can also put inside. The word enchilada, which is the name of this dish, has been even affected the American culture. And in America, when somebody says, I want the whole thing, you can actually say, I want the whole enchilada. And it's actually a term used in America.
You know, and before we got married, I spent 1 month in Mexico with Eddie's mom. And Eddie's mom, the main goal of that was so I could learn how to cook Mexican food. And so while I was there, of course, I learned to cook a little bit of Mexican food. And on your first birthday after we were married, do you remember what I made you, honey?
Nice cake.
Yes, that too. And enchiladas. That's right. And so now, how many years later, we're still enjoying enchiladas. Yes. So after your onions have cooked a bit, you want them to be nice and clear. we would add the potatoes. Thank you. And this you're just going to want to salt to taste. And these, it's very important to realize that these potatoes, this is not raw potatoes that I'm adding here. These are pre-cooked, pre-boiled potatoes that have just been quartered up. And you add that to your onions. And while that is warm, you're ready to go.
Now you can use, the traditional dish uses the corn tortillas, but you can also use the flour tortillas. So it's up to you which one you want to use. I personally prefer the corn tortilla, the classic one, but you can do it also with the flour tortilla.
I like both. I hope you're not too disappointed today, honey, because we are going to use the flour tortilla. Here we have the corn tortillas and the flour tortillas. Today we're going to use the flour tortillas. And what we'll do is that the sauce, the tomatillos that Eddie has just put in the oven, those would cook for about 30 minutes. Remember we said turning halfway in between. And what we would do with that is just take the sauce out of the oven, mix it with a tablespoon of chicken-like seasoning, and with about 4 sprigs of cilantro or fresh coriander, mix that in your blender, which we have done, and we have our sauce here. And you just heat up your sauce, put your tortilla into your heated sauce.
Some people fry the tortilla, then they put it there, but that's not the most healthy thing to do. That's why we just warm up the tortilla and do it like that.
Yeah, we just heat up the tortilla beforehand. You can do that on the stove, you can do that in the microwave, you can do it in the oven. I prefer on the stove on a skillet. That I think warms up the tortilla the best. The microwave tend to get it a little bit soggy. So we'll just put our enchilada on the plate. We are going to fill it with some potatoes and onions. Talitha, would you like to roll that up for me?
Sure.
Just roll it up.
And some people, what they like to do, they like to put this on a bigger dish, so you can be rolling many of them. Then you can put it in the oven at low temperature, and by the time the dinner is ready, you have the whole serving for everybody.
And what are you going to eat your enchilada with?
So you can garnish your enchilada many ways. The options that we have here are very typical options, which include some refried beans, some radish, some lettuce, some vegan sour cream, some olives, and of course the avocado cannot be missing.
Yes. So I think, Talitha, there's only one thing left to do with our enchilada. What is it?
Eat it.
That's right. We hope you get to try the enchilada as well and enjoy it as much as we do.
Now we have another recipe that you can use quickly for breakfast. And this is a substitute for eggs. What is the name of this recipe?
This is Mexican scrambled tofu.
And for this recipe, we're going to have the help of my middle daughter. What is her name?
Rebecca.
That's right. And usually the reason why many people use eggs is because it's a simple dish. You can do it quickly. But the issue with eggs is that you're bringing with those eggs many bacteria such as Salmonella, Listeria, and you're also bringing a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol. In fact, a published paper from Harvard University showed that using eggs on a regular basis is equivalent as smoking cigarettes in the potential to clog your arteries. So rather than using eggs, look at this very simple way of doing a healthy dish. Susan, what are we going to be using for this recipe?
Okay, so of course we're going to be using tofu that has just been crumbled into little pieces to look a little bit like scrambled eggs.
And which type of tofu?
This is a hard water-packed tofu. And then we also have a half cup of
Capsicum.
Capsicum, thank you. We have chili peppers. We have 2 garlic cloves pressed. We have about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. We have 2 tablespoons of yeast flakes. We have about a 1/2 cup of onion and about a 1/2 cup of tomatoes. And of course, to garnish, we've got some, what do we have?
Avocado.
Avocado. Have you ever had scrambled eggs before?
No.
No. What, have you ever had scrambled tofu?
Yes.
Yeah, do you like it?
I like it a lot.
Oh, good. All right.
And to clarify again, we mentioned this, but I wanted to re-emphasize it again. Chili doesn't mean spicy. There are multiple types of chilies in Mexico, more than 100 different types. Some give flavor, some give color, some are spicy. We don't encourage the usage of the spicy type, but you can use it just to give flavor, which is what we're doing here in this recipe. So let us see the procedure of how to do this.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to saute some onion in a little bit of olive oil. Thank you, Rebecca. We'll add a little bit of salt to the onions as we saute them. It helps to bring out their flavor a little bit.
And of course, if you have one of those dishes that doesn't require so much oil, feel free to use less oil.
This is something that's actually very fast to do in the morning, and it makes for a good breakfast. Gets the kids to a good start on the day, don't you think, Rebequita?
Yes.
Do you like to have scrambled tofu for breakfast?
I love to have scrambled tofu.
Yes, makes the house smell nice and warm, and everybody's ready to run to the kitchen table. So to our onions that are cooking, we're going to add our peppers.
Or capsicum.
Our capsicum. We call those differently in the States, don't we? Call them bell peppers in the States. What do you call them in Mexico, Eddie?
Pimiento.
Pimiento.
That's the garlic.
Yes, this is the garlic. And we're going to let those vegetables just saute a little bit till they get a little bit tender. We'll add the rest of our salt.
And there are many varieties of this dish. This is just one of the many ways that you can do it. Feel free to use your creativity and add or remove a few of these ingredients.
We're going to go ahead and add our tofu. Can you pass me the tomatoes? Thank you. And the yeast flakes.
Some brands of yeast flakes actually have some vitamin B12. So that could be a little source of that vitamin B12. That is important if you are on a full vegan vegetarian diet. It's a good idea to be taking some vitamin B12 at least once or twice every week.
Well, they add the yeast flakes, and the yeast flakes actually give it a cheesy-like flavor, which makes it very nice.
And if you want to do a little bit of Indian variation, you can actually add some turmeric also. That's also something nice to add if you have it available.
And it also adds a nice color to the tofu. It gives it a nice yellow color. And we're going to add the tomatoes, and we're going to cook the tomatoes just until they give off their juice. Once they start to give off their juice, we know that everything is ready to go.
And something that you can do also for this recipe, some people like to add some salsa, and on the side of it, salsa that is not spicy, such as a tomato-based salsa.
Like the pico de gallo.
Or pico de gallo.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and check some of this series. We have shared how to do a pico de gallo. It fits perfectly with this.
And last but not least, we're going to add our lemon juice. It gives it a nice little thing. And you know, in The United States of America, people like to eat their scrambled tofu with a slice of toast. Do we eat our scrambled eggs? We're scrambled tofu. What do we eat our Mexican scrambled tofu with?
With a tortilla.
With a tortilla, that's right. You want to give me that plate, Rebecca? We'll put our tofu
It's a previously warm tortilla.
on a nice warm tortilla. And are we just going to eat it like that? What should we eat it with?
Avocado.
Avocado. We hope that you get to enjoy your tofu as much as we do.
Now we're going to demonstrate a very old dish. The name of this dish is called guacamole. And that's a very old name. It actually comes from the old Indian word aguacamole. And later on it became what we call today guacamole. But today, to help us with this recipe, we have the help of my younger daughter. What is your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. And do you like guacamole?
Yes.
This is something that you can use with many types of recipes. In fact, avocados came actually from Mexico. The original Aztec word was aguacatl, and it became the Spanish word aguacate and became avocado in the English language. And there's many types of avocados. The ones that are originally from Mexico tend to be smaller and they're a little bit higher in fat. There's also another variety that comes from the Caribbean islands. That avocado tends to be much bigger and more watery. And the truth is that it makes a better guacamole if you use the smaller Mexican type. So, Susan, what do we need to make this old, ancient Mexican dish?
Well, we don't really need too many things, but of course the most important thing that we need are we have 3 ripe avocados. We have about 1 tomato cubed. We have about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of onion, depending on your like of onion. This is the red onion. I think it gives it a nice flavor. We have about 2 tablespoons of cut fresh coriander, and we have about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about a tablespoon or so of lemon juice.
The lemon juice is actually a good hint to use because lemon juice has antioxidants. If you don't add that lemon juice, the avocado will tend to become darker as it oxidizes faster, so it helps prevent the oxidation of the process.
And it also gives it a nice flavor. And you can use lemon juice or you can use lime juice. In Mexico, often when we say lemon, we actually are referring to a little key lime, is what they call it in the United States. It's a little lime, a little round lime that turns like yellow when it's really ripe. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to cut the avocados, and Elizabeth, you're going to help me mash them. Are you ready to mash avocados?
Yes.
Yes? So we're just going to remove the seed carefully.
There is documented in the literature how, because people are using more avocados, there is an avocado cutting injury. So be careful when you're cutting your avocados. They actually publish a full paper on that. When they put in the knife, they actually poke themselves with the knife. So be careful when opening those avocados, as because of the texture that is soft, that tends to happen.
And this is something that's very nice to get your kids involved with. It's pretty easy, and it's a lot of fun, and it tastes delicious. Would you agree, Elizabeth?
Yes.
And you can tell when an avocado is ready just by touching the avocado. It needs to yield a little bit, and also at the end of the avocado, where the avocado connects to the rest of the tree, if when you remove that little cap that sometimes avocados have, that cap is actually a little bit darker instead of green, that's also another hint that the avocado is ready to be used. This is something that in Mexico, probably at every meal, people eat some avocado. It has to do also with the fact that it's very common in Latin America, so the price tends to be much cheaper. I understand that sometimes avocados can be expensive, but you use whatever is on season.
How's it going, Elizabeth?
Good.
Is that hard?
No.
No?
If you open the avocado and it has some dark areas, sometimes the rest can be good. You just remove the area that is damaged, and you can take advantage of the whole avocado as much as you can.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And there's actually fossil remains of avocados that they have found in ancient caves. So it tells us that humans have been using avocado for thousands of years in the Americas. Then the Spanish brought it to the rest of the world.
Now, I remember in your home, your mom is the main cook, but I remember that your dad liked to make guacamole. And your brother is your oldest brother, Rodolfo. He's also an excellent cook, isn't he?
That's right.
Yes.
And this is as many of the other dishes. There is many varieties of the dish. Depending on the family, they add this, they remove that. This is just a vanilla type of a recipe that commonly used, but feel free to use your creativity. So you want to have nice paste.
I think we're about ready to add the other ingredients, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yes. Why don't we? Go ahead and just mix that in there.
So we're adding the tomatoes, then the onions, then the coriander or cilantro, then a little bit of salt so you can bring a little bit the flavors out of the avocado. And as we mentioned, the lemon juice will give him that nice antioxidant, and also it actually improves the flavor of the recipe.
You're doing a great job, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
I think now we've got this just about all mixed up. What do you think, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and take it and I'll put it in the bowl. And what are we going to eat our avocado with today?
Chips.
Chips. All right.
So this is something that you can eat by itself, just with some chips, some tortillas. You can also combine it with some of the other recipes we've been sharing, such as the tofu, the enchiladas, and so forth. It combines very nicely with all those Mexican dishes.
Just put it in here. Make it look nice. I think there's only one thing left to do, Elizabeth, and what's that?
Taste it.
That's right. You can eat it all up?
Yes.
Yes. And we hope that you enjoy avocado in your home as much as we do. Give this guacamole a try and let us know what you think.
So this is the result of the effort of my wonderful family. Good job, girls.
Thank you.
And as you can see, these dishes look wonderful, and in a minute we will see how they taste. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reported that you can raise a family with these types of foods. Any of you ever eaten eggs?
No.
What about milk?
No.
Chicken?
No.
Beef?
No.
Yet they have their normal weight and height. And let us go ahead and try some of these dishes. First, we're going to be trying the enchilada verde. That's the whole name of the dish. And Talita, go ahead and try it. Let's see how it is.
That's really good.
Good. And what about Rebecca? Her tofu, Mexican style.
It's really good.
Very good. Yes, it is. And Elizabeth, how is your guacamole?
Is it delicious? Mm-hmm. Are you going to
Very
share?
good.
Oh, good.
So as you can see, simple ingredients, simple food, and delicious food.